The moment I decided to be a voice for change, a couple of years ago, I started looking at the demographics from a marketing standpoint and how do we reach more multicultural communities with our marketing intent. I didn't see things happening in this space that were done in an excellent way. And so we looked at the landscape and said, why is that happening? And a lot of times diversity, equity, and inclusion was something that was not built into the skill set of marketers, business leaders, politicians, etc. And so what we found is an opportunity. And so we created the diversity movement, which delivers online courses, training, consulting, and education for business leaders to link diversity, equity, and inclusion to their business strategy. Not just the why diversity, equity, inclusion matters, but the how to, and really get into the nitty-gritty of having tough conversations, creating a better demographic footprint within your organization, and really building a culture that people can win at work. Racism is certainly a big word, and we've all experienced it, or many of us have experienced it in different ways. But for me, it did have to do with altercations with law enforcement. And I remember a knock on my door many years ago where they'd gotten the name wrong, and they thought I was a suspect for a pretty significant crime. And because of the color of my skin, they didn't listen to my story. Guns were drawn, voices were raised, and if not for that one moment of eye-to-eye contact with that officer where I just simply said, "Sir, you've got it wrong. I need you to just take a step back," it could have been a really ugly scene. But thankfully, prayerfully, that officer took that moment, came into my home, picked up the phone, and realized they'd made a mistake. But because of who I am and what I looked like, they assumed my story was just another line of BS. It could have gone bad. I was thankful. The thing that gives me hope for the future, and I want to spend just a moment on this, is that I have the opportunity to talk with business leaders of small startups, multi-billion-dollar corporations, and I'm seeing an opening for true change. I'm seeing hearts and minds that are thinking about situations differently, that the catalyst moment of George Floyd being murdered on live television has opened hearts and minds so that we can now discuss how and why we need to think and be different. And as a business leader, as a CEO, as a member of boards of directors, I want to be there as that voice of change to look at it from multiple points of perspective so that we can all be and act differently, and human decency becomes a part of the DNA of all winning organizations.